Hi. Hello, it's Treasure Joe, and in this episode, I'm going to try to build an autonomous miner. Now, previously, I have upgraded my power, built up infrastructure, moved my entire base, so now there is nothing left in my way to building a system for harvesting resources. There are a few things that go into this that people might not necessarily know. Now, you can't get away without this, but you probably want a conveyor sorter. This is going to allow us to put our resources, pull all the resources out into this cargo container, which is important if I want to try to process the resources coming out of it. Of course, another thing that I might want to do is build a second oxygen generator and finish that tank, but we're going to do things one at a time here. So first things first, I am going to just go ahead and do this, fill this up. I may have to go off and mine a little bit because I don't know if I have enough iron. I mean, nope, I certainly don't have enough iron. So I'm going to go and do that. It's going to be a little slow, but basically I want to extend out a few blocks and then have an upwards facing connector. And I'll build my drone on top of that, and I'll show you how I typically go about that in a few moments. But first, I need to mine. Oh, what's this? It appears that there's maybe more going on than I previously thought. Huh. I think it might be important for me to build up some sort of a defense against those, just in case they spawn drones against me. I don't know if they will, but I guess if they do, I know exactly how I would go about handling that. But it would be so frustrating. Eventually they'll go away, I hope. I'm going to need to come up with a system for designating and tracking those. Huh. That should be more than enough iron. Then I just have to worry about the nickel, which I may just split. Let's just balance it like this, so that we're producing as much of it as we can. From the sound of that, we have everything we need. Wow, this takes so long to weld that I actually had to jump cut for it. Okay. Now that just leaves but two things for me to do. I need to get the the connector of my small ship and a small battery on it. And this is how I'm going to build it. This is going to be messy. Let's try something like this. Let's just hope I have it aligned. Donk. Yep, that works. I can probably shove it just a smidge like that, but I don't want to be too rough with it. Where's the battery? Then I just place this power cell on. Be careful not to shove it too hard. I don't need to finish welding that. I need to consider its paint scheme. So I think I'm going to start with the default black and just... Then I accidentally added a block to the build planner. I don't know how that happened. Looks like it's centered, but it's at an angle. So I'm going to try to reduce that angle. Control panel, I want you to lock. Then why am I using my flashlight? That's kind of bad. Then I don't need the battery anymore. And this is the reason why I use the small battery, because it only takes 2 power cells, and so I don't waste as much. I'm thinking I'm going to need at least 2 batteries. I need at least 2 of those. I need to also consider the smallest grid drills, because you know the drill. So I'm going to want at least, I don't know, 4 of them. That's probably going to be what I want. And I'm just going to say go and queue up those resources. But I need to figure out if I can place these directly. I think the chances are that I can't. Thinking something like this. And honestly, I could probably just build those directly onto that. Need steel plate. Oh, it's the steel plate I needed. Of course. Can easily grab a small amount of steel plate. So how much then? That's maybe not good enough. Let's try lowering this down 3 blocks like I wanted. Don't mind me, I'm just figuring out the design. And I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah, that actually looks right. I'm not sure if I'm going to put a proper... unable to place drill. Why am I unable to place it? Probably because of the positioning here. That's fair, I guess. I'm guessing I'm unable to place this one too. So this thing won't quite fit on there, but it's also completely symmetrical. So I'm going to take a risk here. Okay, so that's a battery. And that battery should be recharging, but for now, I'm just going to unlock. And then I just gotta wait. And I just gotta go here and say I need to add... Oh, I never set this up properly. That's why. Well, by adding a 0, I mean removing one. And then I should be able to place the last 2 drills. You get the drill. Of course I'd need steel. Who doesn't need steel when building an autonomous mining craft? Now, this thing could possibly be extended, but I kind of don't want to. I kind of want to design this thing to be more or less fine the way it is. So yeah, let's just tell it to lock. And then I'm just going to reduce this by a factor of 10 again, because these really shouldn't be super strong. That'll just cause actual crashing later. So there we go. So now I have the drills marked, and I can start worrying about where I place my thrust. Okay, power setup satisfied. Now those 2 batteries are in position right where they should be. So, before I do anything, these 2 batteries should definitely be set to recharge. I'm going to set them to a group. So I'm just going to give them an uncreative group name, and we're going to hope that these batteries charge. Now this is also part of the reason for building this battery the last time. And okay, this battery fully depletes in 19 minutes, but I'm pretty certain that both of these batteries combined will fully recharge in 10, so that's not going to use it all. This is a really good reason why you store up your power. So let's just start working on piping, shall we? Okay, so got the piping done. That is so much more simple than the other design that I had prepared. I'm glad I'm doing this on the fly, because this probably can't fail on me in obnoxious ways. Then all I have left to do is consider whether I should put another drill in this area, just kind of have it be like this all around, because that would kind of complete it, or whether I should just leave it open and have just 4 drills in the corners like this, which, I'm going to be honest, is probably the better way of doing it. If I'm actually able to get in the center with this setup, then I'd say then this is fine. Okay, so that's the mining platform's actual mining parts finished. I may choose to put a couple of large thrusters, but I think the regular size atmospheric thrusters are probably good enough for this. I can keep them a good distance away from everything else, so I could have, for example, just 3 of them like this, lining this area. Maybe like 3 up here, but I think I kind of want that area open so that I can put the maneuvering thrusters around the outside. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I can just have them wrap around the outside in this pattern, and that'll provide it with all the side-to-side motion. And then I'm going to have 6 downwards facing ones, and probably supplement that with an extra couple from here, perhaps. Just like put some thrust on the corners of these as well. I'll think about it. It's getting a little dark, so why don't I rectify that? I'm just going to place a light here. And by building interior light, I've unlocked new blocks, and among those blocks should be the programmable block. Perfect. So, that means that I can finish working on this. So which direction's going to be forward? I'm not sure. I'm going to need to build some light armor blocks though around this area. It's probably going to have a formation that kind of goes up and down, because I'm going to want a remote control that's probably centered above this connector just for best results, but I still need a downwards facing sensor, and that'll allow me to actually see what I'm doing when I set it up. I kind of want to place them on the outside here. It's going to be 4. Then on the inside here, 3. And that leaves space for an extra pair of whatever I need. And then I can have... Oh, I still need more. I gotta be careful about that. That has to be facing that direction. So that's going to be side to side. It's probably going to be a little slow because those side to side thrusters won't actually do much to counter the side slip. That should actually be everything I need. So basically I have 6 facing down and 4 attached directly to these, and I can probably have an additional couple here, which I will face upwards because I'm going to need to be able to brake and slow down and things like that. So that's basically going to be the rig here. I'm probably going to have to limit to something like 70% storage because it's actually got very precious little storage, if at all. So yeah. And I'm likely going to just do these one at a time. Let's just start with these atmospheric thrusters. So over there is going to be a remote. I'm going to need my flashlight unless I build a proper light over here. Guess I could do that. But I don't know. I'll just rely on it myself for a while. I'm going to build up all of these thrusters, and then we'll move on to getting all the automation stuff, which will be neatly packed into this upper area, including things like the antenna and ore detector, as well as the regular detector and things like that. So I'll see you once I have all this done. I have finally put on the last atmospheric thruster. Okay, that took quite some time. As you can see, this thing is looking quite small, really tiny. I guess you could call it an inefficiency in design. I might move those upwards facing ones inward. All I'd have to do is build out a little bit of a prong here, and it would work. So what I'm going to want are a remote control, which I'll probably rip out of the thing, but you know what? Yeah, I'll rip it out of this, but not before flying it closer to the base, because let's just do one last flight of the little crash pod. So if I just do this, turn those on, enable, then I can probably just tilt it to the right. And then tilt my entire thing. I'm moving maybe a little too quick. Oops. That works. That works. That works. I think it's a little hard to tell. Now I need it to be a little closer. Let's just tilt it to the right. Gain a bit of speed. Slow down. Then just do this. And just do that until it syncs up. And there we go. And that should make this a lot closer. I can easily access it, and it'll still provide a respawn point and a place for me to actually recharge my hydrogen bottles without interfering with the main base, which is going to be burning hydrogen. So that might be a reason to keep this and give it a solar panel and everything. But for now, honestly speaking, I will eventually outmode this, but I do kind of just want the components in it now. So let's just get this remote control. It's the first thing we need. And I can just place it back in here. Try to get it facing the way I want. Like that. That'll tell the script which direction it faces. I'll likely put a camera on it. And I might replace 2 of those blocks with a proper antenna. Maybe. Let's get the ore detector next. I guess I can put that like that. And I can just say... I can just say, max out your range. Then I want the antenna. Oh yeah, you might have noticed, I added a faction. I decided if I have multiple things running around, I might benefit from having a faction. That way I can at least distinguish from neutral and owned objects. And it might be super helpful later. Although I guess helpful is a really relative term. Yep, that seems about right. Now I just need a proper detector component. Now, would be called a sensor. Small grid variant, yes. Camera, small grid variant, yes. And then I want a programmable block, small grid variant, yes. And that'll actually be everything I need. So if I don't already have the parts, which I would doubt, I can just produce the rest. Which is still a pretty sizable amount of resources, but we're about to make up for it big time. Everything was produced in record time. So let's make sure I actually have the sensor, which I keep calling it the detector, but the detector is the name of the component. What I want is something that goes in here. I want it to be rotated to face that way. So I'm going to have to do this. It's not going to display depth properly because it's not near the drills, but it is going to show me the actual area, and keeping that center is helpful. Camera? And this is just in case I want a camera, not really because I want it. And then I want to have a programmable block out here. Yes! And that array should be the drone. And then the last thing I'd need would be probably to tell this thing to produce maybe 100 steel plate, just so that I have some. That way I can have at least a couple extra. I'm going to move these side thrusters inward, just so that it's a little bit safer and won't rub up against stuff. And I'm going to just do a little bit of greebling because you gotta give it just a tiny bit of personality at least. Haha. And I would say this is pretty much done. I guess now it just comes down to me doing the configuration progress. So let me recharge myself and then I'll be right back. So first things first, I'm going to use a script called Pam. Before I do that, I need to tag things. You're just going to be tagged Pam, not Pap or Pa, but Pam. Remote controls should automatically be detected by the programmable block, but just in case, well, yeah, just so that I can show that it is an automated drone thing, yeah. Then the programmable block, I'm going to name that, just so that we know what it is, and it's going to... I'm going to look up Path Autominer. Let's check code. Okay, so Pam is online, and the first thing it tells me is that the ship is missing gyros. This is why you don't try to fly the ship until you've evaluated it. It seems that I consistently forget this piece, so let me just fix that mistake. Good. Does it still show the error? Setup complete. So I'm going to recompile it just to be safe. There we go. And then one thing I could do, actually, if I really wanted to, is basically set up a system which allows me to input commands directly into the drone. I'm going to just use the programmable block for now, but I am going to set up an interface for it later. So, wish me luck, because this is slightly painful. Let's tell it to record path and set home. Let's make sure these batteries have toggled to on. It appears they are on. Good. Now I'm going to do what I tend to do here and turn the connector off. Pam will turn the connector back on after. And then I can just... Why can I not? Oh, that's why. Okay, here's one issue. So, sometimes when you're going into your menu and you hit remote access, you can see that both this and this are lit, but you're not allowed to control it. Well, on this case, like, it'll actually tell you why. Player's antenna is off. So if I turn my antenna back on by pressing the O key, that fixes the problem. It moves to the top and I am able to control it. And I'm going to move to the side a bit. And I might have hurt myself with the thruster. This is where I'm standing. There we go. And now I just kind of have to position this somewhere that makes sense. It seems to have a decent amount of control. So that's going to be roughly above the area that I'm going to be mining. Great. So now I just have to tell it to stop. So if I hit apply again, saves this, then we'll just tell it to fly to home. So we're going to tell it to fly to the dock, and as you can see, it's going to navigate there. I should probably be standing on the upper area. And as you can see, it's maneuvering pretty smoothly. It's going to side slip in and move above the connector and then dock. Now, I guess that's a little rough. I can actually reduce the amount of magnetism here. That's probably going to become a problem. So let's go to the connectors and just say, let's reduce the connector's strength to something negligible. They'll never move, so I can probably afford to just add another 0 here, and it'll be fine. It'll always dock in the right position anyway. So, get that out of the way, I kind of want to go down and adjust some behavior settings. I did say at some point earlier that I wanted to reduce the max load to 70. That's just for safety reasons. Can leave all of this, leave that, leave that. This does not affect things, but I tend to prefer if the drone just ignores things. Can leave the battery. We don't need to worry about hydrogen. Then we can go into the advanced settings and see here. Work speed backwards. I want work speed forwards. I want to apply that as well. I want the work speed minimum to be 1. That way, because of the distribution of the drills, I kind of want it to take the downwards acceleration very slow. And if I look through all this, this actually looks about correct. So fly to the job position, and as you can see, it's going to automatically navigate. And it's copying my movements. What's this? Okay, I was afraid for a moment because that looked like it was on land, which meant that we had a pirate installation. If that was the case, then I would have had to drop everything I was doing to go deal with that. Or start dealing with that. But I have 2 hours of battery life just hovering. That's actually really good. So, I'm going to adjust the angle just a little. So that's kind of in line with that grid. And then I'm going to enter in a specific command called align. As you can see, it's adjusting to get a certain angle. And then I'm going to tell it to set up mining job. And if I did things right, I can go into info now and show sensors field range. This is the area that it's going to mine. Let's just do something like this and lower ourselves a bit. And we can probably do something kind of like this. So if we go down here, we can adjust these settings. What I kind of want to do is increase the height by 2, or at least get the height and width the same. I probably only need to do this once. Yep. So now it's pretty close to centered. And it looks maybe like I could move it just a little to the left. So I have that. And then I kind of want to give it the correct depth. So this one says a depth of 30. So I'm going to move so that I'm positioned like this. How far away is iron? 34.7, so that's 35 meters. Let's increase that by maybe about, let's just say 45. So that'll be 44, okay. And then if we continue to go down, there are a couple other modes. We're going to switch default to auto ore plus stone. Nope, auto ore. And we're going to set the start position to the center, which is something that it can do. Now, we should be able to properly start the job, and it should quickly become full. Let's see how well this works. And what is this? I just need to take a close look. Open tide? Okay, I'm not worried. So I set this to 1 meter a second for safety reasons. That way it can actually drill out the area where the connector is before it actually touches the ground. It's still going to hit the ground a little, and it's already filled up. Ha! So this thing should be full of ice then. So what's the inventory looking like? Yep. That was pretty close. We're just full of ice. And just in moments it's gathered far, far more ice than I was able to initially. Ha! And it docks without any issues, and it has more than enough power. And now what it should be doing, according to Pam anyway, is it should be charging the battery. And it should be charging the battery at a pretty high rate because it's unloaded a bunch of ice, which that's going to be put into this battery, which is going to help it recharge this battery, which it says it'll deplete in 25 minutes. But if I check these other batteries, they'll recharge in less than a minute. So basically, I have finally managed to... I've managed to get this thing actually working pretty effectively. So it's going to go, and it's going to mine all the way down and get some shiny iron ore for me. So yeah, it took me about 2 hours, but it looks like I finally did it. So I guess I'm going to see you next time.